Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. Today is Tuesday, November 22nd. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. Joining me today is my brother, Jeff. How are things going, Jeff?
Hey, Rod. It's going okay. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. Not bad at all. I mean,
Yeah.
got to win, you know. Speaking from a Browns perspective, things are pretty good. So hey.
Oh yeah. From a football standpoint, we're in high cotton.
Yeah. So we'll keep in that perspective.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, we have a guest with us today, Danny Benson. Danny, how are things going for you?
Things are great. I also have no complaints from a football standpoint. Coming off of a win, feeling pretty good about it. One of the first times I've felt comfortable watching an entire football game in a while.
Yeah, it was that kind of game.
That was a pretty easy game to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was smooth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll get into talking about it, but guys, I mean, other than the Giants kind of moving down the field real easily on our first drive, I really didn't have any concerns throughout the game whatsoever.
Well, and the other thing, Rod, you and I talked about it a little bit during the game, but that game was 3 hours. I mean, all NFL games used to be 3 hours or thereabouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was one challenge, but otherwise that game just it had pace, it moved, it was engaging. It wasn't like these games that just you have these ridiculous reviews that just stop the whole process of the game and just bore the crap out of you. I wish the NFL would get back to just playing games like that all the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So we'll get back to more football. Before we do that, we're going to talk about our Blitz beverages. And Danny, I understand you brought a little something special to the show. We're going to let you go first as a guest and describe what you're drinking tonight.
Yeah, I've just got something simple here. I've got a Southern Tier 8 days a week, just a nice, smooth, drinkable beer. I went with Southern Tier because the original Southern Tier Brewery is about 10 minutes from where I grew up in Lakewood, New York. So, a little taste of home here with me.
Excellent.
Nice.
I think Southern Tier does the double Xmas, right?
They do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I almost grabbed one of those tonight, but I just had one recently, so I got something else, but that's an excellent beer. The double Xmas. So yeah. Nice choice.
I have a small collection of Christmas beers left over from last Christmas, actually, and that was one of them. It's still tucked away in the cupboard.
Yeah, I understand. Actually, the Christmas beer I'm drinking now is left over from last year too. I got some, and I just ended up with more Christmas beer than I needed at the end of last year. So I just kind of stuck it back in the corner of the fridge. I'm like, I'll just drink it this year.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So, Jeff, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm just going easy tonight, Rod. Having a glass of wine, a little Chardonnay. I've told you before, I don't do a lot of beer when the weather gets cold outside. So, just chilling.
Yeah, you're not a guy to go for the porters and the stouts and stuff, right? So.
Even in the middle of summer, I probably wouldn't drink anything real heavy like that. I don't mind trying those things once in a while, but give me an IPA with a meal. That's great. If I'm out at a bar or someplace, I'll have a craft beer. But 9 times out of 10, I'm a Mick Ultra guy.
Yeah, and that works. So I'm drinking a Sam Adams White Christmas, which was good. It's pretty light for a Christmas beer. It's not anything like the Great Lakes Christmas beer. So it's kind of something light, but it says Christmas on it. So I thought it was a decent choice for a night. And I think
very festive.
I think we'll close out the beverages on that, and we'll move on. And Danny, we're going to give you a chance to talk about your journey as a Browns fan. So you said you're born, you grew up in New York, so I'm going to kind of let you talk a little bit about how you became a Browns fan, and just kind of what your life's been like as a Browns fan.
Yeah, so I grew up in Western New York, like right between Buffalo and Erie, PA, in a little town called Jamestown, New York. It's really right in the middle of like the Browns, Bills, and Steelers territory. So actually, pretty much all of my family and almost all of my friends are either Steelers or Bills fans. But I really became a Browns fan just because of my grandpa. He's the only one in my family that's a Browns fan, and he got my dad into being a Browns fan. So growing up with my dad, the Browns always being on TV, Browns fan for the same reason he is. He would take me to some games. I was growing up. He used to have season tickets, and I just really loved going to the games with him and spending time with him. And then I just eventually fell in love with the game itself. So now we have 2 season tickets together. We've been trying to get to as many games as possible. Unfortunately, this year I only got to go to 1 game, and I had to sell my ticket to the Browns-Ravens game, which was unfortunate because it was such a good game. But yeah, that's kind of my backstory. Now we're winning some games, so I'm enjoying it a little bit more. I'm only 25 years old, so pretty much my whole life we've been kind of losing, but especially enjoying it now. And
yeah, it's
it.
Kind of a whole different story for you now.
Oh yeah,
haven't been through the winning yet. So Jeff, have you been to? You said Jamestown, Pennsylvania. Have you been there, Jeff?
Jamestown, New York.
Oh, New York. I'm sorry.
Jamestown, New York. Give me another city that it's near, Daniel.
Erie, Pennsylvania is about 45 minutes away. Let's see what else we have nearby. There's really nothing big.
Erie's the biggest between Erie and
Oil
Buffalo.
City area?
Between Erie and Buffalo.
Oh, between Erie and Buffalo that way. Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, no, other than isn't one of the big lakes up that way?
Chautauqua Lake?
Chautauqua?
Hmm?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in that area, but probably not in your particular borough.
Probably not. It's kind of tucked away right in the bottom of the state there.
Gotcha.
But the lake is a decent vacation spot, some people say.
Right.
Nice. Well, Jeff's been a lot of places, and I think, well, especially in Ohio. I think if there's some place he hasn't been in Ohio, I've probably been there. So,
right.
Yeah.
You know the Johnny Cash song, Daniel, I've Been Everywhere?
Yeah.
I do.
That's my theme song.
We're not going to sing it, though.
No.
We're going to move on, guys. We're going to move on to football. And
mercifully.
Yeah, we got a nice win. 20-6, Browns won over the Giants, go to 10-4. Browns are the 5th seed, and we're not looking ahead to the playoffs just yet, but they sure got a good shot. But man, this was like we said earlier. This was a nice game, fun game to watch. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I just came away thinking, man, Baker's really playing well. Baker. My takeaways are Baker and the defense. Defense doing their part against a subpar offense. So, Danny, I'm going to let you kick it around next. Just kind of what did you take away from the game, and you can say the same thing I said if you want to, but anything you want to talk about, just some key points that you took out of that game.
Okay. Yeah, probably the first big point for that game, which is an unusual feeling that I mentioned before was just feeling comfortable. Like really after those first couple of drives, which we had some huge fourth down stops early in the game, which was great. But there really wasn't feeling of being in danger of losing after those first couple of drives, which is a new feeling. The other thing that kind of stands out most to me is the long drives. Like you said, Mayfield was on fire. Chubb and Hunt really didn't put together a fantastic game. They had a few great plays, but it was really Mayfield and the receivers stepping up. Two 95-yard touchdown drives is the big note there.
Right. Definitely.
And especially on those, I think on the second long drive, which I think was like almost 8 minutes off the game clock or something like that. They had a couple of big penalties that they overcame too. There was a clipping call, which is 15 yards. We were in the red zone that still ended up scoring.
Which was a totally unnecessary play, by the way.
Yeah.
That clip, I mean, it wasn't even involved in the play.
Right.
It was
No, not
the
at
other
all.
end of the line.
Yeah. It didn't have anything to do with the play.
Conklin's right tackle, that run went around left end, I think, and it was totally unnecessary.
I'm not sure if he was falling down or if he really went after him, but definitely unnecessary.
Yeah. So Jeff, lay some stuff on us here. What'd you take out of it?
Just sticking with the same theme of unnecessary stuff. I mean, Jarvis has got to be smarter. We've beat that horse to death about when you get to the end zone, act like you've been there before. But that stuff just burns my ass. When you get a 15-yard personal foul that hurts your team, takes a point off the board because you can't just keep your damn mouth shut. And yes, guys are going to get in your face. Defenders are going to poke the bear. But you just got to be a professional and turn around and walk away. And that's one of the last things I think this team needs right now is boneheaded stuff like that. So, all right, it's over, move on. But those things really piss me off. Secondly, Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy looked like a career NFL backup in that game. All the Omahas aside, he
for a lot of those.
Yeah. He looked like a guy who knew what he was doing running an offense. Okay? Because he's been in the league for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, something like that. Been in a lot of systems.
Been with the Giants for 6 years.
I believe he was drafted in 2010.
That's probably about right. Yeah.
I don't remember when he played here. It's been 2012, I think, is when he got the concussion.
He was a third-round draft pick for the Browns in 2010.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's been around, and watching him play, he looks like a guy who, is a veteran, knows what he's doing, does a good job of analyzing what he's looking at, so forth. But, man, the arm and the accuracy, it reminded me of where we've been with quarterback play. Okay, seeing him throw and versus Baker throwing, man, but you can say what you want about some of the issues that Baker's had this year, but Colt McCoy was a vivid reminder of the absolute trash quarterbacks that we've had on this team the last 20 years. That experience level can make up for a lot of sins, but the skill and execution just wasn't there. And that was, to me, that was the thing that stuck out most in that game, is that we had a NFL caliber starting quarterback, and the Giants didn't. And that's the difference in the game.
Yeah, Colt McCoy, he made some nice passes. The thing with Colt is he was inconsistent, and that's exactly what you're talking about, is the inconsistency of a guy who is a backup. He's not consistent enough to be out there all the time and to be, whatever word you want to say it, a starting quarterback or an elite quarterback or whatever verbiage you want to throw out there. But you're absolutely right. And he's playing against the Browns when Baker is playing extremely well. 27 of 32. I mean, Baker is, I can't even feel like Baker's just hot, because Baker has been doing this for 4 weeks now. I feel like this is Baker. Baker's just playing extremely well. There was a tweet on this, but Baker over his last 4 games, guys, 1,231 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick. And
that's what I like to see.
Yeah, I mean, put that out to a 16-game season. That's almost 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 4 picks.
Well, and what he said is, when asked that specifically, what's changed, in interviews, he said that it's everybody being on the same page finally. He understands the system. Yes, everybody still has things to work on, but there's a comfort level among all of them. And Baker is particularly comfortable. You can just see him sitting in the pocket versus 4 or 5 weeks ago. He was not giving his line that kind of credit. He was bailing earlier. Now he's actually sitting in the pocket and feeling comfortable, and the plays are happening with pace. When plays start taking 3, 4, 5 seconds, because he's trying to improvise, that's not a good thing. I mean, he has that ability from time to time, but what you saw in that Giants game was things happening quickly. He was getting up there and executing the play, and that helps the offensive line do their thing. And props to Nick Harris for stepping in, but otherwise that line has just been solid, and that I think you're finally seeing that cohesion turn into effective offense.
Yeah, so Nick Harris. Danny, let me ask you first.
Yep.
Who are you more impressed with coming out of that game, Nick Harris or Bill Callahan?
I think I've got to lean Callahan, just because having a rookie step in there and know his job, doesn't matter how physically gifted you are. You gotta have a plan going into that. Like, there's got to be some structure for him to pull off what he did, I think. So, I mean, props to him, the player, obviously, but I think really good offensive line coaching.
Yeah, that's
that's
Nick Harris's second position. I mean, he's centered. Jeff, what do you think? Nick Harris or Bill Callahan?
I think it's Bill Callahan, generally regarded as the best offensive line coach in the league. And again, a scheme that guys have learned and are comfortable in, the wide zone blocking scheme. So it should be that kind of plug and play. I will say, and I mentioned it to you, Rod, during the game, that when Nick Harris went out there, and you're looking at him next to those other guys, he looked like a kid at first, because he's like 5-6 inches shorter than Conklin.
I think he's only 6'1". Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still 300 pounds, but yeah.
Right. So he's a solid guy, and I mean, he did get blown off the line a couple of times by the Giants tackle is.
You're probably talking Dexter Lawrence, who's like 360
Dexter
or
Lawrence.
380.
Right.
Just
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that the
So-
one
bulldozer.
sack that game came from Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dexter
He
Lawrence,
beat
I mean,
Harris around
blew Harris off the line a couple of times, but all in all, I thought he played a really good game.
Yeah, and honestly, probably the uneasiest part of that entire game was when Chris Hubbard went down, because I think, I don't know about everybody else. I'm thinking, I don't even know who's coming in.
Maybe that's a better question, Rod. At this point last year, if Chris Hubbard had gone down at this point last year, would the fans have had a positive reaction or a negative reaction to him going down?
Yeah, I think, it would have been negative. I don't think anybody would have wanted to see Chris Hubbard out there playing guard, but I mean, Chris Hubbard played, tackle most of the season last year. So
right. What I'm saying is last year people would have hoped that Chris Hubbard's replacement would have played because he was bad at tackle. Right. Now this year we're oh my God, Chris Hubbard went down. It's like, so it just shows you, same player a year later, now he's an integral part of that rotation. So it's got to be coaching.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Hubbard, I think news came out today that knee injury was pretty serious.
Yeah, it's season ending.
Yeah.
They said his kneecap was actually dislocated.
That's a gross one.
Yeah,
it's not a fun one. Yeah, not at all. So let's move on to the next bit of business. And Jeff, I'm going to let you kick this one off because this is right in your wheelhouse. Andrew Sendejo did not start this game. Redwine started in his place, and the Browns defense was good. So I wasn't on Twitter at all really today. Really haven't been on much this week because I've been busy with work. Don't know what the reaction is. Don't know what people are saying and everything. I know the reality. I know what this Giants offense is and what they were. And I know that playing against the Giants is nothing like playing against the Ravens or some of the other offenses that we faced.
Right.
What's your take on this? How do you think Redwine did? And what's your thought on Sendejo Redwine moving forward?
Okay. I'm going to answer it sort of from the other side. Okay. Denzel Ward played, which has a huge impact on coverage. When Denzel Ward is out, it creates a domino effect of coverage responsibilities, and him being in there, I think, just makes everybody else better. You saw the plays he made early in the game that other guys would have been flagged for. Okay, and Chris Collinsworth talked a lot about how he gets his head around and avoids, the penalty. So I think it starts with Denzel Ward playing, number one. Okay. Also, as far as safeties go, I thought Carl Joseph played a really good game, which hasn't been the case lately. Mm-hmm. He elevated his game probably because of Denzel's presence, but that took a lot of pressure off of Redwine as well. So I thought Redwine had all in all a good game. My main concern still is, why are our safeties making so many tackles? When the safeties have to cover for linebackers, which is really the Achilles heel of our team, and you have safeties making all those tackles, it just, to me, it's a problem that really needs to be fixed this offseason. I think I told you during the game, I texted you during the game, Rod, that, man, if Andrew Berry does anything besides go out and find us a linebacker or two in this offseason, I will be really disappointed. I mean, that is the most important position to replace right now, I think, on this team. a linebacker with some speed and some coverage ability. And I think you can get away with whoever is playing free safety if you fix that. But yeah, I'll give credit to Redwine. I think he played well. I'd like to see Sendejo in the same set of circumstances, and I think he would probably play about the same. I don't think there would be a huge difference in how the two of them played. And I think, again, Sendejo gets all of the bad rap because of the linebackers.
Yeah. What do you think, Danny?
I think you touched on a lot of good topics there, a lot of truth there. I think one thing I want to add to that is that I didn't really see Redwine's name too often, which in my book, as a safety, when I don't see your name, it usually means you're doing a pretty good job. So he definitely filled in admirably, but I really can't wait till we get names of Greedy Williams back on the field, maybe see what Grant Delpit can do next year. Second string is...
Yeah, I hope you're right.
Say we get to the playoffs, our second string secondary and linebackers just isn't going to cut it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're jumping all around here, but let's think about this. And I don't want to talk about the playoff picture and all that stuff, but the Bengals beat the Steelers on Monday night. And we're going to talk about the Jets. The Jets beat the Rams. To me, other than Kansas City, who always finds a way to win, almost always, it feels like this season is wide open. Like anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday, and it really feels like the Browns have as good a shot as anybody in this tournament. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but it doesn't feel like there is a team that is unbeatable, outside of Kansas City when they're going right.
We've seen some weakness from Kansas City this year so far, though.
We have been a lot of close games, right?
Yeah. And speaking of surprises, Jets beat the Rams.
Yeah.
As well. So,
yeah,
you're right. Anything can happen.
Just a quick break to say thank you for the support. Merry Christmas from the Browns Blitz and from our sponsor, Skippin' Stones. Find them on Etsy.com. Search the shop, SKIPPINSTONEZ. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, and I'll look it up here in a minute. But I put out a tweet to that effect, and it was before the Steelers game. It was really based on the Jets game, and then the Steelers-Bengals game happened. And I'm like, that's just my point with the whole thing was that there aren't. I'll just paraphrase it. I said there are not games that you're supposed to win and games that you're supposed to try to compete in. There are just games in the NFL. And I think that's how the Browns look at it. Okay, going week to week. If the Steelers looked at the Bengals game, as just, we're going to go out and beat these guys, and we're going to go on to next week, which is probably what happened, because they shouldn't have lost to the Bengals, right? In theory. Same thing with the Rams and the Jets. I don't even know how I didn't watch the Rams-Jets game, but how does that happen? The Jets don't even want to win a football game. The Rams have a very nice defense, a lot of pieces on offense, and they get beat by a team who is trying to lose every game. I don't understand that.
Adam Gase had to get one in there to save his job.
But
not really even save it, because now they might lose the top draft pick.
Yeah, he messed up. He was supposed to lose every game. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I I agree on the Sendejo red wine stuff, guys. I think it's good that red wine got to play this game. I think it was a great experience for him. It's gonna be interesting next year to see, obviously who gets drafted, what they address, because they're going to be bringing in new pieces on defense. They're going to be bringing in a lot of guys to compete at linebacker and in the secondary. And some of these guys are, whether they know it right now or not, they're playing for their job next season right now. So yeah. Talked about Baker a little bit, over the last 4 games. Baker's 12th in the league in touchdown passes with 25. He is, in talking about things that really don't matter in the scheme of things, Baker's 5 touchdown passes away from tying Brian Sipes' franchise record for touchdown passes in the season, which is 30 by Brian Sipe. Myles Garrett has 11 sacks. He is 3 sacks away from tying the Browns' franchise record for sacks. Where do you guys put the odds on each of those 2 records being tied or broken? I'll let you go first on that, Danny.
Okay. So Baker's got 5 touchdowns to go. 2 regular season games.
Yeah.
Got the Jets coming up this week, followed by the Steelers. So probably put it at about 50-50, maybe slightly better odds that Baker gets there. I mean, I feel like we might be able to run all over the Jets. So that 3 touchdown game from Baker might not be there. But he's going to have to throw the ball against the Steelers, I think. So I think he definitely gets, if he has a good game, I think he gets up to that 2 or 3 touchdowns against the Steelers. So
let's hope.
He might tie it. He ties it.
Yeah. So what do you think about Myles?
Myles, he's got 3 more
sacks in 2 games.
Yeah. Myles, a little bit worried about Myles right now. He looks winded all the time, which obviously we know he had COVID. He's having some actual breathing difficulties out there. That seems to be slowing him down. But I'm gonna say he overcomes it and gets there.
Think he'll tie it or break it?
I think he'll break it by 1.
So you got him down for 4 sacks in the last 2 games?
Yep.
Excellent. What do you think, Jeff?
How many touchdowns does Baker need?
He needs 5 to tie.
Okay. I don't think he's going to get it. And I think he'll throw some touchdowns against the Jets. But to beat the Steelers, I think we're going to have to run the ball. So I'm going to go opposite of Daniel. I'm going to say that Baker's probably going to get some touchdowns this week and not against the Steelers. But you know what? I mean, records, I honestly don't get too caught up in records. I mean, look at Baker's rookie touchdown record. I mean, Justin Herbert's going to break it this year. So
yeah,
the league is just so much different. Records are just going to fall. Offensive records in particular are just going to keep falling.
They are.
So,
and
yeah,
30 touchdown passes is nothing, really. We know that.
Yeah, I mean, this league is headed for that being an average. So, on the Myles side, yeah, no, you're exactly right, Daniel. I mean, with him still suffering the adverse effects of COVID and having difficulty breathing, you could see Myles was a step slow against the Giants. I just hope he's healthy. I want him to get healthy over the next couple of weeks. I don't really care what he does. I just want him to get healthy.
Yeah, and that's where I am with Myles. If he's feeling better, I could see him, getting 2 or 3 sacks against the Jets, and challenging this record. because if he needs one to get the Steelers to tie or break it, he'll probably get it. But it depends how he's feeling. It's not that big a deal. We know who Miles is. We know he's held constantly. We know the disruption that he causes just by being out there. So hopefully he'll, like you said, hopefully he's healthy enough to just do what he does out there, and he's gonna break that record at some point. So Baker, I just feel like Baker's gonna tie this record. I don't know how he's gonna do it. I feel like he's gonna throw 3 against the Jets and 2 against the Steelers, and he's gonna tie this record. Just kind of feels to me like what's gonna happen. You guys ready to talk about the Jets game? Or sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say he's playing well enough to do it.
He really is. Yeah. 10 touchdown passes in 4 games, so that works out to 5 in 2 games, right, guys? Yeah. So
yeah,
it just depends.
The like most encouraging thing for me about watching him play against the Giants was the 2 touchdown passes. The touchdown to Hooper was probably the best ball I've seen him throw all year to that point. And then the one to Jarvis was even better. And I'll tell you why on the one to Hooper. He took something off it. He still made Hooper work for it.
Yeah, it was a little up, but yeah.
But you know what? It was where it couldn't be batted down.
Mm-hmm.
It was not 100 miles an hour, and it was a ball that Hooper could handle. And that's something that I think we've talked a lot about. We haven't really seen from him. So I thought that was really encouraging. And then the ball to Jarvis was, that was just bullseye accuracy. Yeah. So those 2 passes, man, if he can make those passes with any kind of consistency, he's damn hard to defend.
So, Jeff, I'll start with you on this. We've talked about this a bit, how Baker plays on emotion and plays better, when people question him and all this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like he's past that now, based on these past 4 games? Feel like he has found a level of confidence in himself and his ability?
Well, yeah, I think he should be. But he definitely does like to have a chip on his shoulder. I just think that's his personality.
Yeah.
So, good. Just, keep disrespecting him. That's great. I like how he plays when people, doubt him. He still answers questions like a guy that's learning, which is great. He's not sounding like a guy that thinks he has it all figured out. So psychologically, he's still trying to prove something to himself and to everybody else. So terrific, man. That's when he's best.
Yeah. Yeah, he has to be just feeling the difference in himself as this year has been progressing. It's just kind of interesting because the guys really aren't talking a lot, outside of the interviews and everything. But yeah, he's definitely a different player from when the season began. It's just so easy to see. So definitely a lot of fun to watch. So this Jets game, Browns-Jets. The Jets, who just beat the Rams 23-20. Again, Rams are not a bad team. Jets are a 9.5-point home underdog to the Browns. And the over-under is 45 on this game. So just I just wanted to get initial thoughts on that line from you guys, the 9.5 points on the road as a favorite for the Browns. I haven't really followed the over-under for the Jets. I'm sure that they've been, double-digit dogs here quite a bit this season, so maybe this isn't unusual. But what do you guys think of that? And I'll let you go first, Danny.
Yeah, that line. So if I had to predict the game, I'd go Browns 31, Jets 17, which actually puts it at 14 points. That's probably a little bit ambitious, but I do think they clear the 9 points. Know that the Jets offense is most likely going to be better than the Giants, but the Jets defense, I think, is going to be much worse than the Giants. So I think we're going to be able to score. They're going to be able to score, but they're not going to be able to keep pace with our offense.
Yeah.
So that was a 9-point spread. What was the other?
9.5, and the over/under is 45.
The over/under. I think
kind
the
of
over/under
standard over/under for a Browns game.
Yeah, I think that over/under is right where it needs to be.
Isn't that pretty much every over/under for the last 5 weeks, Jeff? 45.
That's kind of an NFL over/under. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much where it's been. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what the Giants over/under was. If it was, I'm sure that the Browns that the 26 points was under, but
sure.
yeah, definitely way under. 45 against the Jets. I don't know. I don't want to get into predictions just yet, but 45 points in that game. I'm almost leaning toward taking the under in that too. What's your thought on the 9.5 point spread, Jeff?
Well, the Jets are averaging just under 15 points a game, and the Browns are averaging about 26 points a game, 30 in their last 5. So
that makes sense.
It feels like this should be an under game. But it comes down to number of possessions. I think what you saw with the Giants game was, and Danny mentioned it early on, was you had a couple of really long time consuming drives on our side and one on their side. So it limited the number of possessions. So there weren't as many opportunities to score. Where, in a typical NFL game, you have a lot of quick scores, either because of turnovers, or because of big plays on offense. So I'm thinking that 9.5 point spread actually is probably too low. And I think the only reason it's 9.5 is because the Jets beat the Rams. Otherwise, this would probably be a double-digit point spread.
Yeah, like 13 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it would be a double-digit point spread if they hadn't just upset the Rams. But the over/under, it depends on how good you feel about the opportunity to score quickly. That was what kept the Giants score down. Again. So I'll give you my prediction later, but I feel like this should be a pretty lopsided game.
Yeah, it feels like it. Sam Darnold on the season, 6 touchdown passes, 9 picks. I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't even look at the Jets stats. I mean, this team's 1-13. I really don't even really feel like I need to dive into their stats that much. And the Browns should go in and play very well against this team. And if they continue to tackle games like they've been doing, where they're taking these things 1 week at a time and not looking ahead, it shouldn't be a problem to go in and play well against this team. Don't you guys feel that way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking this might be another comfortable football game for us viewers. But
Well, yeah, I hope the Browns
wanna-
don't look at it that way, but
Yeah, exactly.
yes, it would be
Mhm.
it would be nice for us if it is.
Well, they
Darnold,
definitely didn't.
to be fair, Darnold actually played a good game against the Rams, which is the best thing you could say about him all year. But he did play a good game against the Rams. So is that an outlier, or is that, a sign of things to come? Hard to say with, as screwed up as he's been.
Yeah.
But man, it kind of makes you think a little bit about that quarterback class that everybody was so stoked about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mayfield, Darnold, Rosen, Allen. Who am I forgetting?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Boy, what an interesting quarterback draft class.
But there were periods of time when people were ready, other than Lamar, to pretty much to write off all of those guys. And Baker is finally finding his own here. Sam Darnold, guys, look at the situation he's in. He's in an old school Browns-esque situation. I don't know how you can even judge the guy. I
Right.
certainly wouldn't judge the guy.
Right.
Josh Allen's doing great. Lamar is what Lamar is. I think only time's going to tell with Lamar. It's just a matter of if he stays healthy the way he plays.
Right.
It's still, to me, it's still an outstanding quarterback draft class, even though, a year or two ago, people pretty much wanted to write off every one of these guys just about.
Well, if you take a look at the quality of the organizations that each player went to, I mean, it makes sense where each of them are currently at, with Arnold playing below the quality of some others, and Rosen not playing at all, and Baker having a slow start, and then you get Lamar out the Ravens, and he has instant success. So,
Well, Rosen, I think, he's on his fourth, fifth team, and that really doesn't surprise me. I was not high on him coming out. Darnold had his issues, I think it's a valid point, Daniel. If he had gone to a better organization, I think he would probably be a solid quarterback at this point. But that's not how the NFL works. The worst teams.
No, you go to the worst teams.
Exactly.
You go to the worst teams.
So, right. And Josh Allen, I have rooted for him. I think he is finally getting the opportunities to show what he can do, and he's got a good supporting cast around him, and good for him. I think that's great. So, yeah, maybe Darnold still develops. But yeah, I think all the Jets are missing is Hugh Jackson to be the 2017 Browns.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think Darnold was, the youngest guy in that class. So we'll see what happens. I mean, chances are the Jets are going to draft another quarterback with their new regime, whoever's going to come in and take things over. They're probably still going to have a shot at Justin Fields. Wouldn't be surprised if they draft him. Sam Darnold leaves and goes somewhere else and gets a shot in another couple of years maybe. I still think he's got a shot to be something, but you just never know how things are going to work out in the NFL. A lot of guys get shots. It's just depends where they end up and who's in front of them, and it's an unusual league, guys. But
so while we're on quarterbacks, I have a question. This won't take long. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, are you riding with Roethlisberger next year, or are you going and getting Carson Wentz, or are you doing something else?
Well, I don't know where they stand on. Steelers are pretty tight on cap, aren't they? I believe, and I don't know where they stand on picks and everything. I
They
don't
would have
know.
to be really creative to go get Wentz, but I think they could probably make it happen if they wanted to. Let's just assume that they could.
Well, they would have to. Ben would have to go and free up all that cap space, and then they could probably take on, most of Wentz's contract. I would think,
Right.
but I don't know if the Eagles have totally made that decision yet. Anyways, possibly, but I could still see him going back to Wentz potentially, but you never know.
Jalen Hurts played pretty well this week.
Yeah. Yes. So that whole thing's interesting, but hey, I don't know. I mean, Ben looked horrible.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he plays another year.
For our sake.
We want him to stick around as long as possible.
Sign a new 3-year contract. Keep playing.
Right. He looked every bit of 38 last night.
He did. I mean, yeah, he looked just old and not good. So I don't know. I mean, I would think the Steelers would try to do something. They certainly don't have anybody else on their roster. So
They'll be a little behind if they don't get a young stud in there with all the other quarterbacks in the division with Burrow and Mayfield and Lamar.
Yeah,
I don't
if they try to develop someone else.
Yeah, I don't see that organization going and drafting a young quarterback
and taking a couple of years and all that.
I don't see him doing it. They're going to plug somebody established in.
Well, I mean, they did it with Ben 20 years ago, or however long it's been.
Right.
And just and let him throw the ball, 15 times a game his rookie season.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's possible that's not really where the league is now. It's a different league than it was in Ben's rookie season.
Right.
But I don't know. I would think they would try to do something, like you're saying, probably try to sign somebody. It seems like there's always guys available because of guys' contracts, guys getting released. It sounds like Joe Burrow is probably not going to play next season either, unfortunately. I don't think.
Wow.
Sadly, I think I don't know. From what I've heard, I don't know that he's going to be ready to play next season. So that's kind of stinks. But
it's a tough one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean he plays for Bengals. Yeah, he's an Ohio kid. You really don't want to see anything like that happen to him. So
yeah.
So Browns are 10-4. Jets coming up. You guys ready to give some score predictions?
Sure. Yeah. I know
Danny?
I kind of jumped the gun on my prediction earlier. But,
did you give a score?
I did. Yep.
I must have been having a drink of my beer when you said it, Danny.
I was talking about. I think we cover the 9.5 spread.
Oh yeah, you said that. I don't think you gave an actual score though, did you?
31 Browns, 17 Jets.
Oh, you did. You did say that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my fault.
So we got a 14-point margin there, which fits perfectly with Jeff's expected spread.
It's 48. That's taking the over.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you got?
Well, I like those numbers. I like them a lot. Actually, the Jets have given up 29 points a game in their last 5, and the Browns have scored 30 a game in their last 5. So I'm going to say the Browns are going to score 31. And just to be a little different than Danny, I'm going to say the Jets score 20, which is a bit above their average, but I think they're probably going to have a turnover type score. I think it's going to be a pick 6 or a fumble recovery or a kick return for a touchdown or something weird like that, which is what helped them against the Rams. So I'm going to go 31-20 and take the over.
Okay. I think the Browns are going to score a little bit more. I'm going to go 34 for the Browns, and I'm going to take the under, giving the Jets 10 points, 34-10. Looking for a big win.
Huh?
Just under. I think the Browns stay focused in New York. I think they take care of business, and I think we see another very comfortable game here. And I think the defense keeps playing pretty darn good football.
Well, I think if we're clean and we don't have that big turnover, you're probably right.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It's the way they've been playing, so you never know. So one more question, guys. Christmas coming up this week. This was essentially our Christmas show. What would you give the Cleveland Browns for Christmas?
Oh boy.
I'll give you guys a second to think about that.
Oh boy.
And I guess when you're ready, you can jump in.
They've already given me a nice little Christmas present, just having the record they have going into the holidays. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you guys could give them anything, what do you think it would be? I'll start it off.
Go ahead.
I would give them a stadium packed full of fans for that first playoff game.
Ooh.
I wish we could do it.
Yeah.
You know, I wish that the first playoff game would be at home, and it would just be loaded with how many people does that stadium hold, Jeff? 55 or
64 or something.
64,000 fans. You know, for the first playoff game in what 18 seasons. That would be my wish. So, you guys have anything?
If I would give a Christmas present, it would be that next week, the Steelers gift the Steelers a loss, which
lose to the Colts.
To the Colts, which lines them up for a shot at a wonderful home season finale to
that would be
take the division.
Yeah, and they've lost to much worse teams.
They can do all the work from there.
Yeah,
give them the
Colts.
Opportunity.
Yeah. What do you say, Jeff?
Well, there's obvious. Those are, by the way, those two are great, great gifts. Couple of things that roster-wise I think would be great as stocking stuffers. A stud linebacker who can cover and tackle would be awesome. A kicker that we didn't have to bite our nails over would be fabulous. But you know what I think would be the best gift that we could give the Cleveland Browns this year would be a fan base that just appreciates how consistent and how workmanlike they've been this season in the face of so many things that could have derailed this season. They've just gotten better every week. And if this fan base could just channel the 1980s and fall in love with these guys and just stop second guessing and stop sweating every play, and just enjoy the ride. That would be a gift for everybody.
That's right. Danny, would you like to say anything in closing?
Something I probably should have mentioned right at the beginning. That actually been living in Pittsburgh for the last 2 years now. So
interesting.
getting
You get shots for that?
No. Definitely not. I wish. But just a funny remark I'll add at the end. When I moved to Pittsburgh, moved into my apartment, and there's a restaurant up the street. It was the first place I went. I got a booth table. I sat down and I look over to my left, and right on the wall, right where I'm sitting, is a framed picture of Antonio Brown stomping on our punter Spencer Lanning. So that was my welcome gift to my first dinner out in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
How nice. How nice.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, anything in closing?
No, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays. This is our Christmas show. Go Browns.
Yeah, Danny, I did not give your Twitter handle earlier. It's at the Benson, 2 N's, correct?
Got it. Yep.
All right. You can follow Jeff at Disposer Guru. You can follow me at ClearRodB. I want to thank everybody for listening. Wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Go Browns. This has been the Browns Blitz, and we will catch you next time.